everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Hallmark Heartbeats, a podcast all about Hallmark movies. I am your host, Camille. I am back from taking a break last week. It wasn't planned. It was just really, really busy week. I didn't record anything, and podcasting wasn't in my mind at all last week. I do have to say, I watched Welcome to Mamas, and I just want to start out by giving my brief thoughts on that movie. And my brief thought on that movie was, it sucked. I mean it. I'm sorry, you guys. That movie was just a really, 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 really weak, low point for Hallmark. I didn't feel any chemistry between any of the actors. I couldn't understand the plot. It felt like it was a very generic, someone dies, she gives her family member some kind of inheritance, she updates it and falls in love with a guy who, works with her to improve the place. The only thing really different from Welcome to Mamas than other Hallmark movies with the same plot line was the flashbacks to Mama and her husband, who previously owned a restaurant, right? Together. But even that couldn't save the movie. I'm sorry, but there was no link to the storyline currently. The script was weak. There wasn't even talk of food. I was excited about Italian food, but I mean, it was just gross. So, yeah, that was my very, very brief review of Welcome to Mamas. Tell me what you guys think on the comments below if you agree with me about the movie. But yes. So anyway, this week Hallmark Channel did not release any new movies. They concentrated on the season premiere of One Calls to Heart, starring Erin Krakow, Chris McNally, Kevin McGarry, Amanda Wong, Viv Leacock, Natasha Burnett, Andrea Brooks, Jack Wagner, a whole lot of people. It is 9 seasons long. I think it's one of the longest running Hallmark original series. And I feel like during this season, I should at least review Hallmark episodes, all of the episodes as it comes out. So each week there will at least be 2 podcast episodes I will be releasing. One which is the review for the movie, and one which is a review of the One Calls to Heart episode, season 9 of the week. There are 12 episodes this season, but before talking specifically about the season 9 premiere titled In Like a Lion, I wanted to give my thoughts on the whole series. In February, I watched for the first time all of seasons 1 through 8. I have never seen the show up until season 8. What intrigued me to watching it was the love triangle. I mean, you're talking to a girl who grew up watching Dawson's Creek and Felicity and Gilmore Girls. So love triangles is my thing. So I watched it in season 8 having no clue about the background of any of the characters. I did feel lost about any of the storylines at all, which was a good thing. But yeah, so seasons 1 through 8 came on the Hallmark Movies Now app in February, and I got to watch all of it. My thoughts on the show as a whole was It's pretty good. I mean, I understand why it lasted 8 seasons, now 9. The When I saw the first season, it was beautiful. I was cheering on for this town. I mean, I can't. They lost all of the men in Coal Valley, right? It was originally called Coal Valley, due to a mining accident. All the women, most of them, are widows. That's all that's left in the town, right? And Elizabeth comes into a carriage to teach their children. And they had this is a town of grieving widows and kids who are still fresh from losing their husbands and sons at a mining accident. I have to say the first season stood out for me. I cried. There were so many moments where I cried. One of them was when the widows were about to lose their home, and the coal mining people were like, okay, fine, if you can clear out this shaft here, you can then stay. And all of the widows went and started cleaning the mine shaft. There was a time where like the rocks fell or whatever, and they were about to give up and say, you know what, I can like leave Coal Valley, I'll be fine. But Abigail, who is played by Lori Loughlin, went back to the shaft and was like, no, we're going to do this because I want to stay. And I boo-hooed like a baby when it wasn't just the widows going to clear the shaft. It was all of the women in town who stepped up to help. And it was such a beautiful sight. And I cried. I felt the community, and I felt women empowerment. I felt the strength. I have to say that after season 1, the other seasons kind of blended together. Like if you were to ask me what happened in season 2 or season 3 or season 4, I would tell you I don't remember. Because I know that season 4, I think Elizabeth spent half of the season in Hamilton, not in her, precious home at Coal Valley, which didn't make any sense to me. Season 2 was the trial with the mining accidents and meeting Rosemary. Season 3, we got to meet Lee, and I swear, Lee and Rosemary, watching their love story from the beginning, became my favorite couple on this show. They were number 1 even when Jack and Elizabeth were courting and stuff. It was just, they were my favorite couple from the beginning. Rosemary has so much personality, and Lee balances her, and they're just perfect. He lets her be who she is, and she lets him be who he is. They're just a very supportive couple kind of thing, and that's why I love them. Season 5, most of the season, Shaq wasn't on the show at all, which people have told me is because Daniel Lissing wanted to do other things, and so he wasn't on What Calls the Heart most of the time. He was only there for like 3 episodes when he married Elizabeth, the Christmas special, and like one right after the wedding episode. He wasn't even there for when he died, but I have to say, Elizabeth's grief, her sadness and her tears and her like heartbreak when she finds out Jack died. It was peak acting performance for Erin Craighall. I loved that scene. It broke my heart. Season 6 through 8, we did get to meet Nathan and Lucas. That's the love triangle that intrigued me and started me watching season 8. Now, someone had asked me, so watching it through again, did you see the chemistry between Lucas and Elizabeth from the beginning? And I said, yeah, I did. There was banter and laughter and joy and happiness in their interaction from the beginning. There was no tension. He teased her, she teased him. There was this scene where he taught Allie, Nathan's niece, some card trick, and she got mad at him, at the bar or whatever, for teaching him teaching Allie the card trick. And I thought that was just indicative of their relationship, was just push and pull, a little bit of teasing, challenging or whatever. So I did not get any of that from Elizabeth and Nathan. Elizabeth and Nathan kind of connected through Allie as a teacher and parent of a student does. I did not feel the sparks between Nathan and Elizabeth that people keep talking about. So that's my thoughts on it. I am very, very happy that Lucas was the end game for Elizabeth. So now we are talking about season 9, episode 1, called In Like a Lion. It premiered this past Sunday. There are some new characters that were introduced in this episode, and there is a farewell of some old characters. First, character introduction was with Mei Sou, who is played by Amanda Wong. Her introduction to the cast was announced earlier this year, so it wasn't a surprise. There was a lot of speculation on whether or not she would be Nathan's love interest, what her storyline is, and let's just say by the end of this episode, she's pretty much the main topic of the episode. Like, who is Mei Sou? Why is she separated from her husband? What's her backstory? This episode was also where we find out that Jesse and Clara are no longer in Hope Valley. They found a town. They have a homestead now in Montana, so we won't be seeing them anymore at Hope Valley. Carson is also in medical student. He is doing his residency or whatever in the United States, as was talked about in the season 8 finale. So those 3 characters aren't on the show. We don't know if Carson will be back. There were talks of Paul Green being back on the show in season 9, but no guarantee. Anyway, the setting of the season 9 premiere was a couple of months after the bridge kiss. Elizabeth had gone to Hamilton to visit her family, her mom, dad, sister, with little Jack, and she is coming back. And I love the fact that Lucas and Elizabeth are kissing. They're affectionate, and there's PDA, and there's laughter, and there's no shyness between them, no uncomfortability. Elizabeth and Lucas and little Jack are their own little family now. And Lucas, like, for the first time in 3 seasons, finally entered Elizabeth's house. Because the biggest critique from many When Calls the Heart fans was that Lucas never entered her house, even though him fixing her clock, got on my nerves. Because, okay, like, yo, don't go into anybody's house and try to fix things, okay? A little invasive, especially without the permission of, the owner of the house. Like, that is just wrong. Don't ever do that. Also, we got to see that Lucas and little Jack had a little interaction. Lucas had called little Jack Buddy. And they know that he is too big to be called little Jack. Which we should also talk about the fact that little Jack was recasted. He was recasted to be played by Highland Goodrich. He's a little bit older than the original Jack, the Taylor twins. And I think it's a great thing because when Jack was played by the Taylor twins, he was quieter. You didn't hear much of Jack talking. Highland seems to be more talkative. Highland's version of Jack seems to be more talkative and more comfortable and stuff. So I really approve of this recasting. Anyway, Elizabeth and Jack are happy. They're in their town, and Elizabeth is happy with Lucas. They are still very romantic. He took her out on a balloon date, which we will be talking about later. The other person in their triangle, Nathan, seems to be back onto his Mountie's duties. Bill had told him that he needs to learn how to drive because now Mounties need to. It's been passed down from like the top office that Mounties need to drive cars. So this leads to the awkward situation where he goes up to Elizabeth and is like, hey, I need to learn how to drive. Can you ask Lucas to teach me? I mean, I get it that he might feel awkward for asking Lucas to teach him how to drive, but I mean, it is probably just as awkward to ask Elizabeth. That's weird. That was Nathan being man and go and ask Lucas yourself. Let's jump ahead to Mei Sou. Mei Sou is played again by Amanda Wong. I didn't really have a clue what her story was gonna be. There was speculation that she will be Nathan's love interest. To be honest with you, I didn't see much chemistry between her and Nathan. Hopefully that changes. There were only 3 real interactions with Mei and Nathan. One was when Mei rode into town speeding on her horse. The second time was when they met at Queen of Hearts. She was staying in one of the rooms above the Queen of Hearts, And the third time was when they were at the Ned and Flo's ice cream shop, newly opened ice cream shop. There was a little bit more chemistry, I felt, when they met at the chemistry shop where she recommended honey vanilla ice cream and stuff, but I don't know. I didn't feel anything romantic. It's just the first episode, so you never know, right? I do have to say, though, the biggest takeaway from Mei was not whether or not her and Nathan was going to be a thing. It was, who is she? Mei comes into town. She's supposed to work, I guess, with Ned and Flo. Ned had been looking for a pharmacist for his new pharmacist slash ice cream shop that him and Flo were going to open. Faith had recommended Mei's husband, right? Or so she thought. Her husband's name was Jeffrey Lewis. When Mei finally meets Ned, she tells him that the person you've been corresponding was not Jeff. It was her. And she was like, "Oh, Faith knows me, she'll have my back or whatever." But Faith didn't know that Mei was coming to town either. She had recommended Jeffrey to the Yos, not Mei. So, Mei kind of threw her under the bus with that. Mei, I guess, knows Faith through schooling or whatever, and she asked Faith for, hey, back me up on this, I need this job or whatever. Mei kind of avoided any topic of her and Jeffrey, are you guys married? What's going on? Which left me scratching my head, okay, so what happened to this husband? What is Mei's backstory? I don't know. Personally, my opinion, it seems like she's running away from a situation. I would think that she is running away from a domestic violence situation, which might be very heavy for a Hallmark series, but I also think that that's exactly what it is. You're supposed to, they touched upon racism last season. They could touch upon domestic violence this season. Anyway, those are the big main storylines of this episode. Some smaller, minor storylines. Floyo again opened up their pharmacy slash ice cream shop. I really liked the dance that they did. It was very reminiscent of the soda pop dances kind of thing. It's really cute, really sweet. The business, the shop, the pharmacy is in the same place as where the dress shop used to be. Remember Downey's dress shop? In season 8 was sold. That was what's going on. Rosemary had started the Valley Voice newspaper, and so Flo and Ned. Why did I say fled? That was just bad. Flo and Ned kind of bought it and opened up the ice cream shop, which is cool. I liked it. I thought, again, I can't wait to see the shop open. I can't wait to see what happens with Mei. I hope that it seems like they keep Mei. We do see her husband later in the season with Jeffrey Lewis. So we will be exploring Mei's past later in the season. That's going to be fun. Another minor storyline is the Mayoral Race. Bill, Lee, and Hickam are all at the Mayoral Race. It seems like the top two candidates are Bill and Lee. Hickam is so funny because his campaign slogans, somebody drew a mustache on him. Poor guy, that is so cute. So that's still going on. Rosemary and Lee are still perfectly together. The Canfields, Joseph is still the pastor. Minnie is working at Abigail's Cafe, still working there. But yeah, that's their storyline. Allie is currently with her grandparents, so she did not make an appearance in this episode. The other storyline is that the oil business, Lucas was looking to do business with this guy named Jerome Smith. He and Henry have a past, which Lucas did not know. Jerome and Henry used to work together at the Pacific Mining Company, like a throwback to season 1. They're the company that, we find out later were responsible pretty much for killing all of the men in Coal Valley. We don't know what Jerome's position was in that company, but looks like Henry did not like him. So, by the end of the episode, though, Lucas tells Elizabeth, I'm going to sell my shares and I'm going out of the oil business. He's not going to take a partner, but he's going to instead sell his shares and just stay with owner of Queen of Hearts. There is a balloon that also came to town, air balloon, and at the end of the episode, Lucas and Elizabeth ride the balloon, right? And this is like all of the promos for season 9. I mean, anytime you see a commercial of what it calls the Heart, it was literally this scene where they go up on the balloons. But I do have to say, I don't think anybody else has noticed this, but it reminded me very much of the movie Titanic, where, they go on the prow of the ship. He has her close her eyes, and he goes, "Do you trust me?" or whatever. So has her, yeah, it was very much Titanic scene. But yeah, I like this season premiere. It was a good season premiere. I liked that it kind of told you what happened since season 8 ended. There was progression in everyone's lives. Nobody's stagnant. But I have to say, it was boring. It was a bit slow. I was disappointed, really, that we didn't get to see. I don't know. I guess I was hoping to see a flashback of Lucas and Elizabeth returning to town from their bridge scene or the library or something, or I don't know. I was expecting a better recall to the season 8 finale, since we all love season 8 finale so much. At least Team Lucas did. There are many Team Nathan fans who are still bitter about it. I like that each character all had, moved on, I guess. The star of the episode, in my opinion, was Mei Sou. She left me intrigued. She left me wondering what her backstory is. She left me wanting to know who she is. And that's what you want for any new characters. Favorite scene? Well, where do I start? I loved Floyo's dance. I thought that was so cute. I liked anything with little Jack. I think Helen Goodrich is such a cute little star. He's just adorable. I can't wait to see more of him this episode. It was great to see the kids come back. There was a lot of them that wasn't on the show last season due to the fact of COVID. So we got to see Elizabeth actually be a teacher to the students this episode. I'm hoping that we get to see her again be teacher. But I am curious, because the whole superintendent thing was how season 8 ended. I wish they had sort of addressed what kind of changes went on in the school, but it didn't look like there were any changes or whatever. I guess we'll find out as the season progresses. But yeah, I would probably give this episode 3 stars. It was okay. So next week is the newest Hallmark movie is called Feeling Butterflies, which stars 2 What Caused the Heart actors and real life couple, Kayla Wallace, who plays Fiona, and Kevin McGarry, who plays Nathan. Hallmark Movies and Mysteries also have a new movie called Presence of Love, starring Eloise Mumford and Julian Morris. I can't wait to see that movie either. And also on Sunday, they have a new episode of What Caused the Heart. It's the episode 2 called Out Like a Lamb. That's the episode title is Out Like a Lamb. We saw the preview for it. Seems like Nathan got into a car accident. At the end of season 1, at the end of episode 1, he was riding on a horse. There was another car coming and he didn't see it, or he didn't swerve fast enough. The car hit him. The preview for episode 2, it looks like Nathan is suffering from memory loss. So that seems interesting. Hope he comes out of that. So next week there will be 2 episodes again. There might be 3 depending on if I get one of the actors of Feeling Butterflies on the podcast. Anyway, talk to you guys later. See you next week. Bye.